Hello friends, if you're new to information technology, a support engineer, or even a budding service delivery manager, this short incident management video is for you. ITIL is the most widely recognized framework for information technology and digitally enabled services. This video is solely based on knowledge gained from personal experience, ITIL framework, and freely available sources over the web. My name is Gaurav Gunjkar, and I am an IT services consultant with 15 years of experience in information technology. Before we delve into incident management, it is very important that we understand what a service is and a few related concepts like value and service levels. We will use some real life examples to relate to these. ITIL defines service as a means of delivering value to the customer without specific ownership of costs and risks. Value is the utility and warranty the customer perceives while consuming the service. Value is different for different customers and different services. Service level is the commitment of the service provider to the customer regarding the delivery and support of the service. Let's take some simple examples. We all go to restaurants, and what service does a restaurant provide? Food, of course, but also a takeaway, a place to sit, ambience, waiting area, parking, to mention a few. Now, when you consume one or more of these services, what do you really perceive as value? Value differs from service to service and from customer to customer. While some customers perceive value in taste, portion size, presentation, others might perceive value in cleanliness, polite staff, discounts, free parking, etc. When we think of service level for a restaurant typically is the commitment provided, like waiting time or time required for food preparation. We have to note though that these are usually estimates and not contractually binding on any party. However, in information technology, these will be binding on both parties and also carry service credits and penalties. Let's consider online shopping as another example. Shopping with a few clicks, uh, in the comfort of your home or on the move is the main service. Customer perceive value in terms of a user-friendly website or an app, product selection, images, prices, discounts, reviews, to mention a few. Typical service levels for this service would be the delivery time, the replacement and refund timelines, etc. Or in case of a refund, in case of a cancellation, a refund timeline. Let's look at another service which we have been consuming for a very long time and which we often take for granted: energy or electricity. Trust me, you would value this service even more in a blackout. The value an energy service provider can offer to its consumer is typically reliability, accurate billing, multiple payment options, etc. Service levels would typically be availability, helpline wait time, repair, replacement timelines, etc. To mention a few. Customers perceive value in the services if it's provided to the standard agreed with the customer. Anything short of this results in an incident, which we would look at in the next slide. Nobody would complain if they got tasty food with minimal waiting time. However, they would definitely complain if they had a bug in their food. So let's move on to understand what is incident and incident management. So, an incident is defined as an unplanned interruption to service or degradation or dip in the quality of service. Incident management is the discipline or the process which manages the life cycle of an incident from identification to resolution and aims to, uh, to restore normal service operation as quickly as possible, either with a permanent solution or a workaround. Let's try and understand this with some simple examples. Let's take the example of your car. The car basically provides a service of transporting you from one place to another. Now let's consider that you are driving to a party. Your perfectly running car stops in the middle of the road. This is an unplanned disruption. This wasn't planned. You were not foreseeing this. This is an unplanned disruption. You call the mechanic who says he can come in about 2 hours. In the meantime, you yourself try a few things uh, with the car manual and check the dashboard for fuel, oil, battery, etc. Now, once the mechanic arrives, there could be several outcomes like your car is either fixed or temporarily repaired but needs more maintenance, or is towed to a garage and you at a lift with the mechanic, or is beyond repair and hence scrapped. So, although there can be several outcomes, the process of managing the incident remains consistent across services. As your car stopped, you realized that there was an incident. This is incident detection. You called the mechanic and he probably made an entry into his logbook. This is incident logging. You find the car manual and use your previous experience to check a few things like oil level, fuel, battery, etc. This is self-service using the available knowledge base, which plays a major role in effective delivery of services. When you call the mechanic probably made an entry into his logbook. This is incident logging. The mechanic probably asked you a few questions about the car. This is initial diagnosis, or what would we call a level 1 triage. In information technology, the service desk usually does the level 1 triage. Mechanic provided some basic instructions to you on the call to undertake some actions which did or did not start your car. This is level 2 remote support. Remote support is very important for a supplier to minimize its operational costs and pass on that benefit to the customer. If the car did not still start and the mechanic said he will be there in 2 hours, so the mechanic arrives on site. This is level 3 or field support. Now this is the most expensive type of support, if you will, and as a supplier you always want most of your calls to be handled or resolved by level 2 remote support. Now let's consider another example which relates more towards IT. This was a very simple example in your day-to-day life, but let's consider the example of broadband, which relates more to IT as well as highlights the dip in service quality. Now let's consider you have a broadband connection. You have a 20 Mbps unlimited broadband connection. However, the broadband speed varies during the day and sometimes so bad that it impacts you while working from home. This is dip in service quality. For example, at 10 a.m. you have the full 20 Mbps speed and it drops down to 256 kbps at 12 a.m. And similarly, a 1 Mbps again at 12 a.m. It's not consistent and it is a dip in service quality. Sometimes the incident can be a combination of both unplanned disruption as well as dip in the quality of service. Consider a situation that you are in the shower covered in soap. When the shower hose either stops working or pours water so slow that you take 1 hour to bathe than usual time of 10 minutes. This is definitely a combination of both dip in service quality as well as unplanned disruption. We'll come back to the broadband example now, and obviously when you had this issue, you checked the web for some basic solutions online, and this is again self-service with a knowledge base. You then call or and you check the router for electricity, glowing lights, etc. This again is self-service. This is something you learn from experience, or you probably know, or you just got it off the web. Then you call, email the service desk, or log an online complaint. The service provider then comes back to you with a reference number in 1 hour. Now this is incident logging, that they have provided you an acknowledgement that your incident is logged, and the response that came in 1 hour is called the response SLA. It could probably be more, but it is always definitely within the response SLA. They say that they will fix it within 1 day. They have made you aware of the resolution SLA. We will come back to the SLAs in a short while. The supplier service desk calls you to get more information about the problem. This is the initial diagnosis, or the level 1 triage, which the mechanic did in the above case. If they can't solve the problem, somebody from their second line technical team will call you and try to resolve the problem via screen sharing or instructions over the phone. This is level 2 remote support. Again, as I said, for any supplier to provide a cost effective service, they should aim to resolve most of the issues at the service desk or at the remote support level. Ultimately, if the problem isn't solved, an engineer visits your home. This is level 3 on site support or field support. Again, a very expensive means, and one that could be avoided. The field engineer finds out that the router is faulty. He contacts the router company for a replacement and tells the customer that the router will arrive in 2 days, and someone from the router company will come and configure the router. This is level 4, third party support. While the router is being delivered, the SLA pauses. The supplier's SLA pauses and the ticket is kept on hold because it may take just about 2 days for the router to be delivered. Third parties are an uh, important element for any supplier, and their service levels or their service level agreements have to be set in a way which comply to the supplier's service levels themselves. So the levels of support vary according to the service, but it is incident management's primary responsibility to ensure that the service is restored. Now, as we saw that the incident lifecycle consists of these stages: incident detection, wherein the user becomes aware that there is an incident; incident logging, which is logged by either the supplier, or in the car example, the mechanic or someone basically who makes a record of that incident; initial diagnosis or level 1 triage, which the service desk they usually undertakes, service desk or the help desk; investigation, which is again done by the level 2 or the level 3 teams. Identify a solution or a workaround. There might not be a permanent solution always available, so a workaround could be used to restore service. Build and test. You cannot always deploy the workaround even if it is ready. You need to build and test the solution or the workaround to ensure that it does not worsen the problem. Then implement the solution and the workaround. The service is restored, which is the primary objective of the incident management process. The incident is then resolved on the ticketing or the IT service management system and then is closed. There are other ITIL processes which interface closely with incident management, which are event management, which relates closely to monitoring and alerting; problem management, which deals with the root cause analysis of repetitive or major incidents; knowledge management, which deals with col- collating all the knowledge possible for the support staff as well as the customer to enable self-service and self-help; change management, which ensures that any changes done to the service or to the systems are done in a controlled fashion and do not in turn create incidents; asset and configuration management, which basically keep a record of all the assets and the infrastructure, the people who are important from the perspective of delivering this service. Please subscribe to my channel for upcoming videos on these topics. Incidents are usually prioritized from priority 1 to priority 4, depending on the impact and urgency. Now, why do we need a prioritization? Because at one point of time, there might, with the let's consider the broadband example. There might be a single customer affected, or it could affect probably uh, about 100 odd customers. Now, if the service desk got a call from both, how would they know which incident carries more weightage or which one needs to be fixed first? Well, hence, we need prioritization. And typical priorities that are used in our organizations are from priority 1 to priority 4. And some organizations also use severity 1 to severity 4. Now, priority is always a multiplication of impact and urgency. So typically P1 relates to high urgency, high impact. P2 relates to high urgency, medium impact, or medium urgency, high impact. P3 relates to medium urgency, low impact, or low urgency, medium impact. P4 is essentially low urgency and low impact. Now, as I said, and as we spoke about the impact of an incident impacting one user is obviously less than it impacting 100 users. In terms of urgency, if a user's laptop stops working, eh, probably an engineer's laptop stops working, carries a little less urgency than a CEO's laptops stopped working, and if the CEO has to attend an important business meeting. So the priority is always the product of impact and urgency. Please stay tuned to my videos for more information uh, upcoming on incident prioritization. Service level agreements is again a commitment provided by the supplier to the customer on which the service is delivered. And this is typically different by industry, the service criticality, and incident priority or severities. Like for example, the service level for emergency services and ambulance is different to an on-rail retailer, and so is mining SLA different to online dating. It all really depends on how it impacts people's lives. You might not be in a great urgency or might not be impacted to return a shirt to to an online retailer as much as you would want the ambulance to come if you had a heart attack. Let's look at the SLAs in general. Incidents typically have two types of SLAs. One, obviously, the response SLA, a time in which the incident reporter should get an acknowledgement. This is basically to put the customer at ease that their incident is being looked at and it has been recorded. And the other SLA is obviously the resolution SLA, time in which the incident should be resolved with a permanent solution or workaround. In essence, service restoration. SLAs differ by industry criticality and priority. And that's all for now, folks. Thanks for watching. Please hit like if you found the video useful and hit subscribe to get more updates about more videos. Thank you very much.